very much for the next opportunity to have paper here in this conference and to present another experiment concerning vowel length in Czech language. Maybe some of you listened to my first paper. In the first paper, we examined the vowel length in trisyllabic words in speakers with Russian language as first language. And one of the results was that the most difficult combination for Russian speakers speaking in Czech are two long vowels together, or consecutive long vowels. So this paper I'm presenting now concerns to this topic, two consecutive vowels in Russian speakers. It's clear that the sound category of vowel length is applied in structure of languages in different ways, and that its adaptation from one system to another is difficult. As I have mentioned, in Czech, vowel length is a fundamental distinctive feature, and the occurrence of long vowels is independent of word stress, the number of consecutive lengths, and their word position. And this structural independence causes difficulties for non-native speakers, including the advanced ones. And in this paper, we examined how difficult it is for Russian speakers to realize correctly vowel length in two advanced vowels. It means the topic is the pronunciation of two vowels lying in neighboring syllables. And this situation is not present in Russian, because in Russian, the vowel length may be one of the prosodic features of word stress, and it's not phonological. And usually there is just one long vowel in a word. So what was our method? 6 syllable sequences divided into 2 words were our target units. There was one fundamental condition. A sequence should contain at least once 2 consecutive long vowels. It is combination long vowel. And 2 additional parameters were controlled. Number of long vowels in this 6 syllable sequence, 3 or 4 long vowels were used, and the position of word boundary. I have mentioned that this syllable, this 6 syllable sequences was divided into 2 words. So the question was, where would be the word boundary between these syllables? And we talk about asymmetrical and symmetrical sequences. So we obtained 8 different patterns. You can hear just a couple of samples. How does it, what's the pronunciation? So, for example, the first 2, nestále počasí, prodáváme salát. So those 2 sequences contain 3 short and 3 long vowels, and you can see that the combination of short and long vowels are the same, and just the position of the boundary is different. So those short target phrases we put to the middle of short sentences to create text for reading. There were two groups of speakers. First main group consisted of 8 female speakers with Russian as mother tongue, and their Czech proficiency ranged from B1 to C1. And the controlled group was just little. It contained 3 native Czech females. After recording the text, we made perception analysis. We evaluated vowels as long and short, and it was useful to admit also the third category of unambiguous vowels, the vowels whose length was uncertain. And also acoustic analysis of duration was provided, and duration ratio was calculated. And what about results? Just to imagine the non-native sound, there is one sample, zabrání poznámkám. You can see symmetrical one, 3 syllables and 3 syllables. And first word contained 2 long vowels, and the second word also 2 long vowels. So in this expression, there were 4 long vowels. So the native pronunciation, zabrání poznámkám, and the non-native pronunciation, I'm sorry, there is a little bit crazy printer, so I hope there is not so much noise.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, great, thank you. So first non-native sample, and here you can see our transcription. It's in Czech, but it doesn't matter. Green color means the pronunciation is okay, and the brown color means incorrect pronunciation. So in the first sample, the last vowel is incorrectly short.
Zabrání poznámkám. Zabrání poznámkám.
And in the next sample, there are 2 incorrect vowels.
Zabrání poznámkám.
Oh, sorry.
Zabrání poznámkám.
And this speaker, the second speaker, is very advanced in Czech. Her proficiency is C1. So in general, the success score of vowel length is, when we take into account vowels as single segment, is 66%, and dominant error was shortening, more than 90%. When we examine target LL combination, the success score is very low, approximately 34%. If you remember, I have said that we had two additional parameters. And when we calculated the success rate, it seems that in general, in case of number of long vowels and the position of word boundary, there is no significant difference. But if we examine specific length patterns, the differences may be clearly observed. For example, just a quick look to green color. Here is the same combination, long, long, short, and the success score here is lower, here is higher, or for example, the brown color, let's say pretty high or relatively higher success score, and in this combination lower. So some differences we can observe. It seems that sequence of words as units, sequence of short and long vowels in a word, and the distribution of syllables into two words may be relevant, but there is no one strong tendency. And there are interrelation between those 3 points. So, for example, we supposed that the combination of long vowels across the word boundary would be more difficult than in the middle of the word, but according to the results, this assumption is wrong. LL combination across the word boundary doesn't achieve lower success. What was a little bit surprising for us, when we have got a disyllabic word, for example here, stáří, it's a noun and means age, old age. The pronunciation of such words was relatively successful. When we compare pronunciation of this sequence, short, long, long, and short, long, long, short, the pronunciation of two long vowels in the middle between short vowels was much more less successful. For example, this word nestále was pronounced with a higher success score than this one, prodáváme. So this was much more easier for the Russian speaker than this one. Or there were in some pairs of patterns differences between the position of word boundary. Yeah, you can see the same sequence of short, long vowels, and asymmetrical variant was with really very low success, and this symmetrical one was better in the pronunciation of non-native speakers. Just a couple of words about the results from acoustic analysis. So first, we measured duration, and we made approximation of duration to be able to compare duration between speakers. Here in the figure, you can see the distribution of normalized vowel duration, and the values we split in two ways, to two figures. In this left part are the values according to the original written text. And on the right side, there are the values according to the perceptual analysis. The figures on the left, it's for the Czech group, and this right for Russian group. So in Czech group, the division between short and long vowels is clear, both in the graph according to the written text and according to the perception. And you can see that there is almost no difference between these two graphs. So it means that the pronunciation of native Czech speakers was almost canonical. Yeah, there is no difference between the production and the perception. When we compare the graphs for Russian speakers, we can see that there are differences between values based on the written text and based on the perception. In this graph, based on the written text, we can see that there is a huge overlap between short vowels and long vowels. So there is a lot of mismatches. And when we have a look to the graph based on the perception, we can see that there is not a difference between short vowels, but that there is some shift in case of long vowels. We can see that according to the native perception, there is a little bit more clear difference between short vowels and long vowels. And you can see that there is some additional category, this blue line, and this is the category for already mentioned uncertain vowels regarding the length. So it's you can see it's in the middle between short and long vowels, and that's nice illustration for the situation where Czech native listeners say that usually non-native speakers, including Russian, don't pronounce long vowels, but only half long vowels. And we also measured or calculated duration ratio. So ratio long to short vowels. And again, there is split into two graphs. first graph on the left is based on written text, and the graph on the right on the perception. When we have a look to the left graph, so according to the written text, we can see that the ratio in Russian speakers is lower than in the Czech one. So it's a similar situation I talk about, that there is a lot of half-long vowels, and there is not so much overlaps. And when we compare the perception, again, we can see that in Czech native ears, their Czech ear made a shift, and that there is no difference if the native listener listen to Czech vowels or non-native vowels. And we can say that Czech perception is more categorical because or we can explain it because vowel length is phonological in Czech language. So to conclude, it's possible to say that the important unit for Russian speakers in the production of vowel lengths is a word and a word chain. That the word boundary is very important. And Czech listeners probably use or feel very strongly phonological opposition, and they don't care so much to the some absolute values of duration. And it's very difficult, or it's not easy for non-native speakers to create this relative feeling of vowel length of the duration. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jitka. Please, for any questions, you can raise your hand at the participants tab. Yes, Xiun Yu.
Thank you for this presentation. And I'm just wondering if the L2 learners, especially the advanced ones, are aware of their own difficulty in producing the vowel length contrast.
Thank you for your question. Sometimes yes, and sometimes not. Usually they aware this when they hear their record, or if somebody else talk to them and recognize some traces of foreign accent. And when they ask what are the features of the foreign accent, then they realize that one of the feature is or could be this vowel length.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Professor Botinis.
Hello, hi. Thank you. Very interesting. Well, I would say that Czech is vowel length distinction language. Other language with no vowel distinction, you said it half long or whatever. They produce it. I mean to say, if you don't have a length distinction, you may vary a lot your vowel, even the consonant. We have done this with Cypriot consonants. So you have much more variability, plasticity. But if you have a distinction, like in Czech, so you have to have either short or long. You cannot play with length in Czech because it's serious, the way you can play with other languages. But I would say that this work, you need a lot more material, a lot more work in order to get more fruits. I would say that vowel length in Czech is distinctive. What about the consonant? Is it compensatory in a way? When you have long, like in Swedish, when you have long vowel, you should have somewhat shortened or short consonant, and so forth. And now when others produce the language, they may produce in a wrong way either the vowel or the consonant or both. Your study, I think, would be much more interesting if you had a look what is happening with the consonant. And then both ways, I mean to say, how Czechs react with foreigners, producing not only the vowel, but the consonant. I mean, it's a phonetic syllabic structure. So you have to look at the syllable as one entity with two subdivisions. And then even more, you can do a lot more. How is Czech syllabified? You have closed and open syllables. What is happening there? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Botinis, for your remarks. And it was very nice expression. It's not possible to play with vowel length in Czech. I like this expression. And thank you very much for all your remarks and recommendations. Yeah.
Well, hope to see you again, or come with new results, and we will continue our discussion. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.